Hi fans of high quality entertainment. Well, here it is. I'm going to attempt to answer over 100 questions from you, the viewers. So I'm warning you now, this is going to be a super long video. Maybe it's going to be like 2 hours. It'll be like the 2-hour Canadian Studmuffin special. And I'm sure most of you aren't going to watch the whole video, but you're going to miss out on some great stuff. So here we go, and these are in no particular order, and if I do happen to skip a question or two, I apologize. I am only half human. Peter, and I will be pronouncing some names wrong on purpose. Peter Svensson, do you have a top 5 of Elvis Presley LP CD? No, but I don't mind early Elvis. His 50s and 60s hits. Van Solo, what's your favorite hair dye? I am going to be 60 next year, and I promise, devil sign, I promise, no, I do, I promise that I do not dye my hair. There's some gray hair. There's some gray here, and I think it's even coming in here, but I'll just buy some hair dye. Brennan M. What are some of your favorite singers, artists of this day in music? And also, what was the first concert you have ever attended? What are some of my favorite singers, artists of this day? So you mean current singers? Nobody. I like all the old stuff. And the first concert I ever went to is King Crimson in Toronto with Golden Earring opening up for them in 1974. I apologize, I'm going to be pronouncing your name probably wrong again. I know you told me, but I forget. So, Lean Time, or Lewin Time. Do you like Doctor Who? If so, are you going to do a Doctor Who related video? I'm not into Doctor Who. I had a girlfriend 3 years ago that was a big Doctor Who fan, so I watched a couple of shows, and I didn't mind it, I enjoyed it, but that's about it. Christopher Graves, do you think we're related? For your sake, I hope not. Larry Graves Fan 93. Hey Larry, what do you think about the virtual band called Gorillaz, or let's say about Kendrick Lamar? Thanks for answering this question. Cheers. I know who Gorillaz are, but I've never really listened to that artist, and I've never listened to Kendrick Lamar. Garrett Munton, are there any genres you still want to get into, such as jazz or early electronic new age? I'd be happy to recommend you some albums if you would like. People recommend me music all the time, thank you, but it's like I have so much from the past that I love and I don't even get to listen to it all, so I'm kind of content with what I know so far. And I'm not interested in new age, but electronic not so much either, but jazz, yeah, if I found the time I could get into like jazz rock more. Presley 17, what do you do for work? I work at McKesson, Canada. It's a huge warehouse here in Trenton, Ontario. Adam Bendelow, if you could go back to a previous year, what year would you go back to? If I could transport myself back in time? Well, I don't want to get into family, like personal stuff, but for entertainment-wise, it'd be cool to relive me seeing the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show for the first time when I was like 5 years old. John Daly Covers. Hi Larry, love watching your videos. Keep up the good work. I have 2 questions if that's okay. The Beatles are such a great band. What has inspired you about them, and how much of an impact have they had on you? It would take me an hour to talk about it, but it's just the Beatles. Yes, they inspired me. They're my biggest inspiration entertainment-wise, and to this day. So they've had a huge impact on my life. And I've never had a tattoo, but I would seriously love to get some kind of a tattoo of the Beatles on my arm someday. Like maybe the characters of them, or cartoon characters of them, or maybe even the Beatles logo. Or maybe just on my forehead so people see it more often. I don't have your second question here because when it prints out it goes to read more and I can't click on it. Music Hoarder, do you think you will give Bachman-Turner Overdrive another chance in the future? I'm not really sure what that means because I believe I have a top 10 Bachman-Turner Overdrives song list on this channel, and I love Bachman-Turner Overdrive. Anybody still watching? There's going to be a test afterwards. It'd be funny. Some person's there watching the video waiting for their question to come up, and it's like a 2-hour video, right? And it goes right to the end of the video. I don't even answer their question. That could happen. It'd be funny. Craig Elliott. Hi Larry. Have you got round to watching the Shining movie yet? If so, what did you think of it? Yes. I saw it. I bought it on Blu-ray. I'd never seen the movie. I enjoyed it. I'm not... Horror movies, or... I don't know if that's considered a horror movie or not, but it wasn't scary. It was kind of creepy a couple of times, but... it was good. GG Roman 98. Hey, why you never make videos about Rush, like ranking the albums and that kind of stuff? And what's your opinion about them? I think they're one of the best rock bands of all time. I believe on this channel I have a Rate the Artist Rush, and I gave them an 8 or a 9. I used to buy their albums. When their second album, Fly By Night, came out, I bought it. This is before they were well known, and I enjoyed it. And I've bought their albums through the years off and on, and enjoyed them. But the thing is, once I'd heard the album a few times, I would never play it again. So I don't have any Rush CDs, but I truly think they are one of the greatest rock bands of all time. Drummaster 1498, hey Larry, this is a heavy question but a realistic one. But how do you think you will feel and the world will feel the day that Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr pass away? Like everyone, I do not want this happening for a long time, but unfortunately it will happen. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks Larry, keep up the high quality entertainment. It's gonna be sad. What else can I say? Of course. And it's going to be a big shock no matter when it happens. Hijinks. Besides On a Day in the Life, what would you consider your favorite orchestral addition to a Beatles song? That would be She's Leaving Home, the remastered version. It's just gorgeous. The Scatman. Hey Larry, I'd love to know what your favorite concert that you've been to was. Love your videos. I did a video on that, all the concerts I've been to. My favorites were Paul McCartney in 2010, 9 rows back, center stage, and I got to go backstage and meet the band. Not Paul McCartney, but I met the band and they were great. And the 3 times I've seen Sparks in concert. JPGR35, hey Larry, I've recently become a fan of the band Oasis, and I was wondering what your opinion is on them. Thanks for the amazing content. I get asked that quite a lot, and then I'll answer, and then of course somebody else asks. And They were okay, but that, however you pronounce his name, Liam Gallagher, I can't stand the guy. Maybe he's changed, but he used to be so obnoxious, and they're not my favorite brothers. So I like a couple of their songs, I believe from their first album. What's the Story, Morning Glory? Was that their first album? And besides that, I just have no interest in them. Mr. Superstar. Mr. Superstar 15. Do you see yourself doing videos in the next 5 years? I hope so. Vinicus Mello. Hope you'll answer this one, haha. How do you see Neil Peart, or is it Peart? Neil Peart, as a lyric writer? And what are your thoughts on Roger Waters' new album? I think you should do some videos about Simon and Garfunkel as well. Sorry for asking a lot, bye. Neil's great as a writer. It's a bit too, I don't know. I like more wit in my lyrics, like with, or crazy lyrics. But he is an excellent writer for sure. Roger Waters' new album, I've heard it's good, but I might listen to it sometime on Spotify, but I don't think I'll ever buy it, and I'm not that interested in it. And I might do a top 10 Simon & Garfunkel video at some point. I did in the past on my Larry Graves TV channel. Lennart Wilder. First of all, I love your content. Keep it up. Thank you. My question is there a band from which you only like one song? I'd have to really think that over, but Duran Duran, Hungry Like the Wolf is an awesome song. That's the one that comes to mind. 45 Records Man. Ever heard of Marshall Crenshaw or The Art of Noise? Yes, I've heard of both of them, but I've never heard their music. Masonator 77. What are your favorite types of videos to make for the channel? Good question. I like reading the viewer comments and responding to them. That's always fun. But I enjoy doing each and every video for the most part, or otherwise I wouldn't be uploading videos. So, but I do like doing the comedy videos. It's just that people don't like watching them. Blake Willoughby. What are some of your favorite modern bands artists? For current artists, I'd still have to go way back and say my two favorite current artists would be Radiohead and the Arcade Fire. And Paul McCartney. He's still current. Philip Maggio. What is your favorite variety of grape for your wines? I don't know, I just drink red wine. I don't care what it tastes like. I just like the buzz from the wine. P.S. Barrow. We're about the same age and grew up with the same liking of progressive rock from the 70s. Did you, as I did, also like the jazz fusion stuff that was around then, like Weather Report, Return to Forever, Mahavishnu Orchestra, and Santana's Fusion period? I never really got into that, but I should check it all out on Spotify sometime, because I think I do like jazz rock. And Brand X with Phil Collins would be another band. Beatles. But I do like early Santana, their first few albums. Bud Price, what do you think was better in Black Sabbath, Ozzy or Ronnie James Dio? Well, I'm an Ozzy guy, and I never followed Black Sabbath after Dio became the lead singer. But I know he did an awesome job in the band. It's just that I personally am an Ozzy fan when he was in Black Sabbath. Merch Noe, what was your first experience with rock music that you can remember? Seeing the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1964. Maddie Carosa, how did your kitty Jinx come into your life? I recently did a video on that and my other cat Mittens, and it's on my ASMR channel, their whole story of me getting the two cats. So you'll see the link for my ASMR channel in my description below. (2003) C. Payne, what do you think is the funniest video you've ever made? Mine is the intuitive dancing or the Nickelback response. Also, have you ever owned a Peter Gabriel solo album? Looking forward to the upcoming videos. Yes, I used to own Peter Gabriel's the second one when I bought it when it came out, and I was very disappointed. But the third one was great, and those are the only three that I ever bought. But the first one and the third one I love, but I don't have them right now on CD. And what do you think is the funniest video I've made? Oh, I've made so many. Goodfellas 2, because I feel I just nailed that character. I almost became that character. And I also always love doing Phil McCracken and Gus, especially when new viewers come to the channel and they think that those characters are real. Loasis, if John Lennon lived, do you think he would have recorded an album called F. Islam after the terrorist attacks of 9/11 in New York City? I have no idea. I don't really think he'd be as political as he was in the late 60s, early 70s. EIFFE, IFE. Now that you are finished with the Beatles' top list and discographies, that never ends. I'm just warning you. Will you do an extensive multi-part series on the Milli Vanilli body of work? No. The Potato Cactus. How would you rank all of the Pink Floyd albums you own from worst to best? I ranked all of their albums that I own. I ranked all the songs on each separate album, so you can check that out if you like. But my favorite albums are Dark Side of the Moon, their debut album, and Metal. Tony Watson, have you ever been to the UK to visit the Beatles Museum in Liverpool? No, I haven't, but I'd love to someday. I've never been overseas. I've never actually left this apartment. Patrick Dibbs. Why don't you believe Paul died? I'm going to skip it. Loasis. Skip that. You're just responding to the Paul's dead thing. From memes, or how do you say that? Memes? Memes? I have no idea. From memes to dremies. Hey Larry, I don't believe you've ever talked about it. How do you feel about the classic punk rock bands such as the Sex Pistols, the Clash, Ramones, etc.? I bought the Sex Pistols album when it came out. I absolutely loved it. I have it on CD. It's there somewhere, believe me. And the Ramones, I love early Ramones, especially their debut album, which I bought when it came out. And I'm a fan of the Clash, but as some of you know, I gave away my whole discography to a local, I was going to say fan, well, to a local fan. And as for the Clash, as some of you know, I gave away the whole discography I had of them on CD to a local viewer a few months back. But I still like their music a lot. Neil McLaughlin. Hi Larry, as per the message I left on your last video, would you check out the Cardiacs? Being such a fan of Devo, Sparks and Zappa, I think you'd love them all the best. Yeah, I'll try. Honestly, I will. I mean, I get a lot of messages and people sending me links to check out music and all that, and honestly, I appreciate it, but I'm kind of locked in what I love. It's just that I love so much music, and like I say, I don't even have time to listen to what I already love. Vinyl Man 95 Productions, what is your favorite song by Johnny Cash and why? I'm going to have to go with Orange Blossom Special. That and his rendition of Bridge Over Troubled Water and When the Man Comes Around. Those three are my favorites. Rondon Valenti. Hey Larry, are you a fan of the Grateful Dead? I love them but haven't heard of you talking about them, thanks. Once again, people ask me about them and I've responded. I'm not a fan of Grateful Dead, although their second album, Anthem of the Sun, I bought it on vinyl. It was in a cutout bin years and years ago. So I kind of like that album, but otherwise, not interested in them. Matthew Fortier. My question goes like this. I lived and worked in Ontario for 1 year in Kitchener-Waterloo. It was very nice. I was wondering what's the most beautiful place you visited in Ontario. Myself, it was Georgian Bay, and Elora was such a nice village. I would say Bancroft, Ontario. My dad and my stepmom used to live there, and they lived right on the water. And so we would go on his boat, and it was just beautiful. So, plus memories of my dad. Janet Sampson, hello Larry, got two questions for you. Number one, which artist or band do you feel never received the fame or recognition they rightfully deserved? Sparks. Although, you know, really, they have a pretty big cult following worldwide. And a band like that, maybe they wouldn't seem so special to us Sparks fans if they were wider known, you know what I mean? And yeah. But they've had success through the years, especially in Europe with top 10 songs and albums and everything, so they've done very well. And the other question about my family, they're all doing great, thank you. Jimmy, page 2. Similarly to you, I enjoy rock bands such as Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, Pink Floyd. However, there's one band I do love that you never talk about much, that being Iron Maiden. I have heard you say they are not too heavy for you, but there's something about them that turns you off? No. No. Just not those 80s bands. Iron Maiden is one of the bands that I really respect. They are talented for sure, but the music is just not my thing. Derek Marshall. Hey Larry, are you planning on doing any more album reviews? Yes. Actually, yesterday I was talking about Yes's Relayer, so it was an album review for the most part. And I think I will do that in the near future. Just talk about one album. at a time. Ryan Morgan, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? London, England. Snazzy Animal 2012. You should get a fidget spinner and do a video on it. My friend Phil McCracken did a video on the fidget spinner. So if you go to my front page, you should be able to see it. Callum, what era do you think the Beatles looked the best? I think 64, 66 were the best, with the sharp suits, suede jackets, and psychedelic shirts. I would say 1968 they looked the coolest. Tom, I can't pronounce that last thing, it's just a jumbled bunch of letters. Tom Thoughts on Neil Young? Love his music. Favorite Neil Young album? Trans and Landing on Water, which are probably most fans' least favorite Neil Young albums, but they're my two favorites. Plus Rust Never Sleeps, of course. Tate Davis, what is your favorite song off of Black Sabbath Sabotage album? That is my favorite Black Sabbath album, and my favorite song is Symptom of the Universe. Sorry. Mike Bass, whatever. If you were to create a Sgt. Pepper parody album cover, what name theme would you give it? What celebrities, people, characters would you choose for the background collage? What costume would you wear? What would you use to spell out Larry Graves in the Garden? And what objects, treasures would you place all around for added eye candy? You know what? Years ago, I used to have a website where I posted my humorous stories called Grape Times, and I once did a parody cover using Photoshop, and it turned out pretty damn good, I must say. But I don't remember, and I spelled out Grave Times using the Beatles' Garden, but I'm not sure what characters I had. But the people that would be in the picture would be Ron and Russell Mael from Sparks, Frank Zappa, of course, the Beatles, Randy Newman, the cast of SCTV, Christopher Guest, the guys from Spinal Tap maybe, Monty Python, and a few more. Phil McCracken and Gus. Sean McKenzie, have you ever been to Scotland? No. Ethan Work, what are some of your favorite King Crimson songs? I am only familiar with In the Court of the Crimson King and Red. So all of the songs from those two albums. And I know I need to look further into their discography, if I have the time. Riley Fitzgerald, have you ever seen any one of the Beatles members live and in person? And like I mentioned, yes, I saw Paul McCartney. Tom's Vinyl Shack. I have a few questions. There's only two here. What are your thoughts on the Magical Mystery Tour album? Absolutely love it. What are your thoughts on the Monkey's Head movie? I've actually got it on, I copied it from a DVD a few years back, and I love it. And I hope to get it on Blu-ray at some point. Will Hess, what are your top bands 11 to 20? Not top 10. That'd be kind of difficult. Take me forever to, but somewhere in there would be maybe XTC, Canned Heat, Humble Pie, Grand Funk Railroad, Randy Newman, a few others. Jean Marte, hi. Would you do a video of the Beatles' unreleased tracks that still exist at EMI vaults? That will be interesting, thank you. I don't know if I'd be interested in doing that. but thanks for the suggestion. Mr. Beatles 90. Which Beatles album has grown on you over time the most? I think Beatles for Sale. It's probably my least favorite Beatles studio album, but I appreciate it more now than I did in the past. It's great. Indie Discs. Do you speak French? Oui. No. Nick Luciano Sr. Knee cymbals or ring whistles? I try and stay away from any kind of whistles because I can't whistle. So it kind of peeves me off. So I'll go with knee cymbals. Jonas Hallberg. Hi Larry, what's your thoughts about the new documentary, It Was 50 Years Ago Today? I haven't seen it yet. But the thing is, I've read so many Beatles books and I've seen so many documentaries on the Beatles. I think I know most of it, and there's not that much new that's going to come out. But maybe if I see this movie, I'll be wrong. I'll be wrong for a change. Dave Carr. Larry, can you please do more Beatles trivia? Ah yes, that's where I list 10 facts about the Beatles that are completely wrong. I love doing that. I might do another one in the future at some point. Bill Staples. Larry, if all 4 Beatles were alive today, who would you like to spend the day with? John Lennon. Mike Vernon Productions. A more serious question, what are your thoughts on the recent terrorist attacks in Manchester and London? Are you concerned about terrorism happening over in Canada? Well, of course, you always have to be concerned. And it's just sad. It's like a whole other world. One Mon 22. The first question is, how many questions can we ask? 1. Martin Page, do you own any CDs, records that you've had for a while that you know you've only played once? If so, what are the reasons? I see 3 right here, but most of them I played a few times. I've only played this maybe once, twice, 3 at the most. I've had it for over 5 years. It's 2 albums by the Eric Burdon Band, Sun's Secrets, which is my favorite, and Stop. I love it, but I never listened to it. And Flo and Eddie, double album. And the one I really love is Moving Targets, but I've only played the CD once or maybe twice. And Flaming Youth, Arc 2 with a very young Phil Collins on drums. I love this. And the only thing about this particular CD is the sound quality isn't as good as the album they have on Spotify that I can listen to for free. Plus they have the order of the songs mixed up on this particular CD, so I don't care for this one. Quinlan Productions, Ebony or Ivory? I'm not racist. Dan, hey Larry, if you could master any instrument, what would it be? The guitar. Vincent Florito. Who is the tallest person I know? That would be my son Michael, who I'm 6'3" and Michael is 6'5", maybe 6'6". And the other, he has 3, I'll just answer the one here. Favorite Beatles album back cover? Probably Revolver, because they look kind of cool there with shades on. Freddie Apolinar. Will you do a Beatles song ranked video of all of their songs. I know you did it on your old channel, but will you do it again? I don't know. It's a lot of work, and then I'm not sure. We'll see. I'm under a lot of pressure here, folks. From movie to review. Will you ever rank your least favorite to favorite Led Zeppelin albums? I've already done videos on all of their studio albums, and I ranked all the songs on it, so I think that's enough. Also, did you watch any of the Maple Leafs or versus Capitals games from this year's NHL playoffs? No. I used to be a huge Maple Leaf fan, but gave up on them. But I hear they have a new young team, and so maybe at some point I'll start watching hockey again. Lucas Buster, which version do you prefer, the new stereo mix or the original mono mix of Sgt. Pepper? And what is your favorite Stanley Kubrick film? I love the new stereo mix. The mono, the new remastered mono, sounds great in the car. I earlier listened to it on headphones, and mono on headphones just doesn't cut it. But in the car, it sounded great. And I don't have a favorite Stanley Kubrick. I'd have to remember all the movies that he's done. VV Gaming HD, what is the most underrated and overrated Beatles song and album? I love them, but would love your opinion. I already did a top 10 songs list on their most underrated songs. As for overrated song and album, there's no such thing. Bud Price, how do you feel that my brother doesn't like Paul McCartney's part in A Day in the Life? Shame on him. But that's his choice. I personally love it. Velvethead 79, hey Larry, how come I can't see your videos when I close my eyes, but I can still hear them when I close my mouth? It's confusing me and detracts from your high quality content. Any help is help. Next question. Harry M. Have you lived in Ontario your entire life, or have you lived elsewhere for periods of it? Where would you live if you could choose anywhere? I'm happy where I am. But I used to live in Winnipeg, Manitoba. That's right. That is where Burton Cummings, lead singer for the Guess Who, was born. And my oldest sister Sharon used to see him performing with some other band when he was like 15, 16 years old, like a high school dance thing. Isn't that something? You learn something new every day on this channel. Music 21, if you could spend the day with any of the Beatles, who would it be? I already answered that one. The best music reviewer, hey there Larry, I noticed your painting of a lake in the background of this video and was wondering what the dust off it tastes like. The astronomy Floyd, how did you get into music as a whole in the beginning? What was the first single that got you into music and made you want to buy more and more as time went on? I blame the Beatles for everything. And I believe the first Beatles song I ever heard was either There's a Place or I Want to Hold Your Hand. Reporta. Who do you prefer, the Eagles or Guns N' Roses? Do I have to make a choice? I would have to go, if I was forced to listen to either group, it would have to be the Eagles I would listen to, because I don't mind Don Henley's vocals, or Glenn Frey. And Axl Rose isn't one of my favorite singers. Science is not biased. Biased? What's your viewpoint on modern rock alternative music? I don't have a viewpoint. What's the song you listened to the most when you were young? It might probably be Sparks. This town ain't big enough for both of us. Hyman Roth, do you like Cat Stevens' music? Yes. Glenn Jones. Hi Larry, any chance of you coming to England sometime and going on the Beatles tours of Liverpool and London? I hope so. Ryan 49er1, top 10 musicians who left their original bands to go solo and be successful. That sounds like a lot of work. I'd have to do some Googling. Andrew Bebe. I remember one of the videos in the past where you were showing us how you become Phil and Gus. I think I remember where you say Phil is a psycho. Just curious, if I was trapped in a room with either one of those two, who would be more deadly and who would kill me first? After all, Gus and his fork does seem a bit sketchy to me. My character Gus is totally harmless. He's just this person who thinks he's intelligent when of course he isn't. He doesn't know, he doesn't realize he's not very smart. And Phil, yes, Phil is a psycho. He could just go crazy at any time. He keeps it held in though, for the most part. Brian Emanuel, what's your favorite beer? I know you enjoy wine every now and then, but what about beer? I've never liked beer, and I can't drink beer now because I'm gluten-free, and most beers have gluten in them. Lord Ithacos, do you think the political world would have looked any different if John Lennon was still alive? He was a peace activist and a critic of leaders, so I personally believe he would have raised a successful campaign against Trump. Like I said, I don't think he would get as involved in politics as he did when he was younger. Sturmrust50, do your children live nearby you? My youngest lives in Kingston, Ontario, which is about 60 miles away, and my oldest lives in Halifax, Nova Scotia. The HD Action. If you could have been a spectator to any band working on one album in the studio, so present during all of the album's recording sessions, which album would you like to have watched the recording of? I was actually going to do some kind of Beatles related video, or maybe not even Beatles related, but where you're actually witnessing an album being created. So that's a really good question. I'm going to have to go with, of course, the Beatles and Abbey Road. Digio Oliveira, what's your favorite Dylan LP from the 60s? Highway 61 Revisited. Rebecca Burns, what are your 3 favorite films? It kind of changes a little bit, but right now I would say Goodfellas, The Wizard of Oz, and there's so many other great ones. I'll say Deliverance for now. And what is your favorite Beatles film? I don't have a favorite. I enjoy them all. Glenn Jones, 2 quick questions. What was Nancy's favorite Beatles song? And which song still makes you cry no matter how often you hear it? I don't remember what her favorite Beatles song was. She loved the Beatles though. Maybe not as much as I did, but she was a fan. And a song that makes me cry, it would have to be Bare Naked Ladies' Hidden Sun. Games with Brains. Have you listened to Badfinger? Yes, and I enjoy them. The Kinks, yes. I love their 60s music, and my favorite album of theirs is Lola versus Power Man. And Big Star. I've seen the documentary on Netflix on Big Star, but I haven't really listened to their music besides that. OG Roman 98. Make a review of the new Roger Waters album, Is This the Life We Really Want? You didn't say please, so I'm not going to. Matt 11708. Are you a fan of Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young? Yes, I love the first album, Crosby, Stills & Nash, and Deja Vu. Owen Ayers. Can you try to pronounce this Welsh town name? Easy. Lion Fair, Pewiliguana, Gola, Gory, Gorge, Run, Drop, Willant, Slowly, Goa, Goa, Goach. Easy. Dolan's McQueen. Oh wow, great. I can finally ask you my question. Yay! I've been waiting so long to ask you this question. Beatleman. What Beatle or Beatles related music do you listen to while you drink red wine? I'll listen to anything. The final page. Bipped of the Century. What's your favorite Brian Eno track? I never really followed his career, but I have sort of listened to his early albums, and I remember King's Lead Hat being my favorite. Harambee. Have you ever been to Canada's Wonderland? Yes, and my work is going this August again. Last year, I went on the roller coasters. I went on the Leviathan. Do a search for Canada's Wonderland Leviathan. I was on that coaster. I had my eyes closed. Mr. Damo Fan 56. Hello, Larry. My question to you is, have you ever heard of the Toronto Rock and Roll Festival? Rock and Roll Revival? Yes. If so, did you hear about it back when it happened? And did you consider going? Well, 58... I would have been about 11 years old, so there's no way I would have been able to get to Toronto. Too young. But I think I remember seeing it in the paper. Shay Podmore. Not trying to be road, but can do videos like 3 at the last are 10 mins at the most. Some of your video are too long or too short. On Craigslist, live, love you. Shay Podmore, when are you going to answer our questions? Never. And that's it. That just sped right by. That was so highly entertaining. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.